I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, we're going to help you grow your account and gain power 100% free to play. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. This important video is going to give 9 crucial tips to free-to-play players to help them grow their accounts and have fun playing Rise of Kingdoms. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, consider smashing the subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. We're a sponsored content creator, and today we're going to talk about how you grow free to play. Now, many people may not know that with this account, we actually started with very little spending at all. We spent $7 on Minamoto VIP packages, and I may be misremembering slightly the early game, but we've got 9 crucial tips today that are going to send you in a really great direction in Rise of Kingdoms. Let's get to tip number 9. The first thing you need to know about gaining power in Rise of Kingdoms as a free-to-play player is that you'd better get really remarkably good at gathering resources. Look, we have gathered over 12 billion resources in Rise of Kingdoms. No, almost 14 billion at this point. You need astonishing amounts of resources to do things in Rise of Kingdoms, whether it is building things in your own account or after you've maxed out most of your buildings and have done most of your, fast, quick research. You're going to accumulate a lot of resources, and those will help you wage war. If you're free to play, you need to get on the resource gathering plan. This is going to be super relevant to you as you make your way up to 40 million power. And that's really the threshold where, after that, all the extra resources you get are for fighting, unless you use those extra resources to negotiate. Honestly, you could make favor with a whale in your kingdom or an alliance in your kingdom and offer to pay resources to be in that alliance. Yeah, that sounds a little bit crazy, but let me tell you something about that. If you were donating gold in an alliance that had T5 players, they'd definitely keep you there. And at some point, you would get so many gold chests by virtue of being in one of those high spend alliances within your kingdom that, look, you didn't need the resources anyways. You're just farming them off the map. You wanted the gold keys. You wanted the speed ups. You wanted the VIP. I'm just saying, farm up resources, even if you get really creative with how you use them, to win position within your kingdom. The next tip number 8, is to invest in your gathering commanders early. This is how you really dig into the previous tip, is you've got to invest in your gathering commanders, and I can't tell you how many free-to-play players simply don't do this. The majority of my gatherers are at least level 37 or higher, and level 37 is absolutely critical for getting superior tools within the gathering tree. Use a build like this. I've got very detailed guides for how to work on your gathering commanders, so I won't go in depth here. Card up in the top if you want to watch a video later on how exactly you go about working on your gatherers. Tip number 7 is to create a farm account so you get even more resources. Notice a theme here, folks? Noticing a theme? One way you can get resources is by gathering them. Another is by having a farm. This is my farm. It's like a 400-day-old farm account now, and it's 40 million power almost, which is kind of insane. Having a farm account lets you not only gather lots of resources, but you can send those troops to die in war, filling flags, and that is a lot better than sending troops from your main. So my strong recommendation is that you get a farm going right away, and even if you keep it low level and just send out some gatherers occasionally, or even just jump into the resource gathering node of an alliance, look, that's going to be good enough to get you more resources than you were getting before. Keep the troops training 24/7, use them in war, and I think that's honestly a really solid choice. Card up in the top if you want to see more information about how exactly you go and create a killer farm account. Now, tip number 6 is that, look, if you're just starting this game and you're still in your first weeks or month, and you feel like you'd be comfortable starting over, one way you can get a jump start on everything I have said so far is to do what's called a jumper account. A jumper account is where you take advantage of something called a beginner's teleport, and you start in a kingdom that is going to get a lot of rewards for winning KVK. You get all those rewards, you jump to a younger kingdom, and you go as a really big group. And by using these beginner's teleports, which are the only item in the game that let you switch kingdoms when you're in the early game in Rise of Kingdoms, you can get a really good head start within the kingdom that you ultimately end up joining. And you'll end up joining one, by the way, that's like brand new at the end of the 10 days in which your beginner teleports expire. If you want a detailed guide on how to do a jumper account, card up in the top, I strongly recommend that new players do this process, if for no other reason than they find a group that is 30, 100, 200 strong to go through this process and to have other people to bounce ideas off of. Tip number 5 is that after you finish gathering astonishing amounts of resources and you've got that engine in a really good place, you can use your farm to gather resources and your main account to start gathering lots of gems. You're going to need tons of gems to do all the things you want to do in this game. As soon as you're resource stable and resource positive, you can go in on gathering gems and you can farm over 1,000 gems a day. Yes, that's a lot of work, but as a free-to-play player, this is something that you can get a lot of edge with to then have those gems to spend in critical events like the Wheel of Fortune or holiday events where you spend 7,000 gems to get like 30 legendary commander heads and 6,000 gems back. Yes, that's really a thing. Card up in the top if you'd like to see more information about how to gather thousands of gems every day, and those cards will all be available to you at the end of the video. You can watch them then. Tip number 4 is to always spend your action points, and don't ever let this bar max out. Always try to spend them down, especially like right before you go to bed, so that you wake up, you got some action points, and you spend them all down all over again. Why is spending your AP crucial? Not only do you get a bunch of experience tomes, but if you battle barbarians, you can get arrows of resistance, which are required for your watchtower, and also barbarians, many people don't think about this, barbarians, they drop gems. And they drop a small amount of gems depending on what level they are, but the higher the level, the more gems you get. Alternatively, if you want to do forts, battling forts can get you Books of the Covenant. Absolutely crucial for upgrading your castle, and ultimately your castle is going to be the bottleneck for upgrading things within your city as you work your way toward T5 troops. Heck, even if you spend your action points summoning Lohars, using the Lohar tokens and battling them down, you can get some equipment patterns out of the deal from that. You really always want to spend your AP because there is value to be had. Now, this of course means that you should be investing in peacekeepers early on in Rise of Kingdoms. I often advise that people start with a civilization like Britain in order to get Boudica out of the gates. Alternatively, you know you're going to work on Lohar very quickly into the game when he becomes available. Work on your peacekeepers, but don't over-level them using experience tomes, because at the end of the day, your peacekeepers are all going to get to level 60, and you're going to be pairing them with non-level 60 commanders, and your experience is going to be wasted on these peacekeeping commanders once they've already hit 60. You don't get any more experience on them battling barbarians. So yes, you want to invest in them to the point where you can bring a second commander. No, you don't want to dump boatloads of experience. Yes, you do want to skill these commanders up. Just a warning though, don't ever use your universal epic sculptures on Lohar. Get these from rallying down Lohars with your alliance. The more efficient you are at battling these barbarians, it's almost like gifting yourself resources, because if you kill them faster, you have less troops go to the hospital, which means you spend less resources on healing your troops. Make sense? Now, one thing some people do in order to get even more action points is they pick a civilization that gives you some AP. I'm making that choice right now to go with Germany. I get 10% AP recovery and 5% troop training speed. It is honestly quite amazing. If I haven't run out of cards already, a card up in the top to help you decide what civilization would be the best pick for you. Now, tip number 3 is that although I have told you to go spend your AP every day, you want to save your action point potions for special events like the Eve of the Crusade. Heck, even when Lohar is around or the supply event is around, you want to save your AP for events that give you extra reward. don't just go spend your AP potions on some random day when there's no extra events. You want to go ham on days when there are events. That way you can get even more stuff for spending each action point. Tip number 2, as we make our way to the best and final tips, is that, look, if you want to try to win an event like the Mightiest Governor, I'm going to say that as a free-to-play, that is going to be extraordinarily difficult to do unless you are genius-level execution, killing gathering troops in the early days of a kingdom's life, and honestly, you are not going to make any friends doing that. So what I will recommend is that if you are going to go all in on an event, you wait for that event and go completely ham. Maybe one of the events that gives you 20 universal legendary commander sculptures when you win it is a better pick than something really major that a spender's going to go to try to win, like the Mightiest Governor. I'm not saying you can't win. I'm just saying that it's really hard, and what happens for most people is they put in this big effort and they spend everything they got, and then they don't win and they're upset about it. So I would not set my heart on big events over here, like the Mightiest Governor. There is one event that's like quarterly and you can sort of go do it, but let's just be clear and say there's 2 strategies here. One is to save for events and really, really hoard as a free-to-play and then go all in. The other is to say, you know what? I'm not going to care as much about winning events. Instead of hoarding, I will get more value by constantly powering things up. And I'll tell you, I go too far in the opposite direction of hoarding and then not really using them wisely in an event. So choose which one of those makes sense for you, but pick an event wisely that you really think you can win, go all in, and good luck to you. Now, the number 1 tip for powering up as a free-to-play player is to get yourself into an exceptional kingdom. One way you can assure that is by going through a jumper process. That will profoundly increase your odds because that jumper group is likely, if it's well run, to dominate the kingdom you land in, which will give you a great start in the Rise of Kingdoms. However, at some point you might consider migrating, and if you do consider migrating, make sure that you end up in an exceptional kingdom that does daily kingdom buffs, that's not at war with itself, that is on the same page for how to be organized, that has a Discord, and so on. We have all of those things in Kingdom 75, and it took a lot of effort. We have over 80 volunteer leaders within this kingdom, all working to make this an exceptional place to be. And people seem to agree. 1 to 5 people migrate in every single day, which is really quite remarkable. And so what I'll say is that if your kingdom is not giving you what you need, it's got civil wars, they're not unified, they're not doing diplomacy for KVK, you can take a lot of damage to a free-to-play account being in a kingdom where people are not running it well. Honestly, this is something that people spend a lot of time stressing over, and I do too. The community that you're in is critical in any game, and in this game especially, because you're counting on this community to take care of you. Your alliance, your kingdom, you need them to care for you. And if they don't, man, a bad situation can wipe away a free-to-play player's power awfully quickly. So what I want to call attention to is just to really do the reality check of where you will have the most enjoyment playing the game. Is it where you're at? And look, honestly, the grass is always greener on the other side, but not always quite as good as you envision it will be. Something that Negan has said, king of our kingdom, and I agree, is that if you haven't taken any action whatsoever to try to make your kingdom and your alliance a better place, that's probably a good starting point before you consider migrating. However, if you need to, don't let your attachment to what could be for your alliance or kingdom distract you from the reality of whatever your alliance or kingdom is. Make sure you're in a great situation where you're happy playing. Hopefully you found these tips to be helpful. If you did, do me a favor, throw a like on the video. Which one resonated with you the most? If you're looking for more videos about how to gain power as a free-to-play player, I'm pretty sure I've run out of cards, but if I haven't already, card up in the top for ways to gain power fast, and be sure to check out in the description a whole bunch of playlists that will be really interesting to you about gaining power and moving through the game as a free-to-play player, or just powering up in general. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.